Alright, before I begin between my opinions between the DR10 kit and the Slash, I'm going to go ahead and weigh it. So this one, again, it's 1327, so 1,329 grams. And I'm weighing this without wheels and tires, without a body. And the reason why is you can swap all that out. So if you have the drag slash or a slash drag build, you can swap everything, right? Wheels, tires, body, whatever it is. Now, mounting this just with the electronics, there's a slight weight difference, but I'm not going to bother too much about it. But here's one of the things. Looking at that weight, 1327, this car, depending on the drag slash and what you have or your build, you're looking at about 100 to 100 grams lighter just by using this kit. So that's a huge advantage by using something like this, because that's weight that later on you can use as ballast and just relocate it somewhere else. So those are some of the things. So that's a very important feature of this vehicle. Now, something else too is just out of the box, this has so much droop. And it's also thanks to those gullwing, which is somewhat nice. Now the aluminum bodies, these aluminum bodies are very, very smooth. And one of the things that I noticed about them is the spring, so this little collar, the spring collar really, this actually slides down smoothly. Well, the spring does, and then it just kind of fits in. You kind of hear the click. That's probably because I have it here on its side instead of up and down. But on the Slash, if I wanted droop, there was something else that I had to do. Now, the car that I'm going to show isn't the drag Slash. I actually took the front end off of my drag build and I put it on this Nitro muscle car. But notice I had to cut, let's see right there. I had to cut this at an angle and then remove some material off of the arms. You probably can't really tell that much. Just to angle it just so this could have droop. So this actually allows for such a huge amount of droop, a ton of droop. Now, if you're wondering what those little plastic things are, this is just the limiter so that when I hit the brakes, when the nose dives, the body doesn't rub, so it stops it. But anyway, I had to do those modifications, which is fine. You can do modifications on things, but on this one, just out of the box, it works. And then it was just a pain to get the right spring, shock, geometry, everything. So at that point, you're going to end up 3D printing parts or something else, or just giving up on it. There's a possibility. So that's one advantage here. Now, droop. Why would you want droop? All right. If you look at funny cars or some of them, they have no droop, right? There's no suspension. It's just fixed. So why would I want it on something like this? Well, if you have like a tractor type suspension, it's just one pin and then the axle kind of, pivots just on one point. So you have a fulcrum there in the middle and that's it. The reason why is so your tires can give you a little bit of steering. Sometimes it helps. It helps your car from just going off to the side. Now, once you become an expert and you know how to time everything and everything's tuned perfectly and you're a master, then, who cares? That's one of the reasons why. And keep in mind that speed is not scale proportional as well. So that's one of the things I do like about this one. The drag Slash has the plastic bodies versus this has the aluminum. So that's something else too. Keep in mind the price too. Drag Slash, I believe, is about $500. Maybe you can find some sales out there somewhere. I don't know, 400. I have no idea really, to be honest. Put in the comments, see what you find. But this here, this is, as of this video, this is $300 on sale right now. Usually it's $330. Comes with the body, tires, everything. The body's pretty cool, right? It's not, that awesome Chevy body that the drag Slash has, but it is pretty cool. But that's actually a plus that I would give to this. Just the arms, front and rear. The height, stock height, you're looking at about a 3 millimeter difference. This one being lower. This one's about 24 millimeters. The other one's about 27. Yes, you can lower the other one. Looks kind of funny. But anyway, something else. So that's a bonus to this one, but again, you can do it to the other. Because of the gull wings, you can get this one so low, even if you want to screw up the geometry here of the drive shafts, right, and just do something wild and crazy like that. So if you actually have your arms like this, if you accelerate with power, it's going to want to straighten out. Your rear end is going to want to actually, the motor's going to want to push it up as the forces want to push it down. If you ever watched some old cars, just old muscle cars drag racing, you'll see that they sort of have that anti-squat in the way the suspension is built. So when they accelerate, right, the axle sort of pushes the body up. It's actually really cool how you can play around with it. But anyway, shocks in the back, pretty nice. I like the geometry of the rear shock tower. I can actually move these out, which is what I'll do in my experiments or my tests later on in some future videos, just to get your shocks straight up and down. There's a variety of other things, but these metal shafts are actually really nice. Now the drag slash, or if you use the Bandit ones, it has the plastic shafts, and those plastic shafts are fine because of the fact that they're shorter. Keep in mind that plastic, if it's a particular thickness, let's just say a shaft of a particular diameter, if you make it shorter, it's stronger because proportionally it's, I guess, thicker, you could say, proportionally. So the diameter is a bigger difference if it's shorter. If it's longer, it would be like making something thin. So these metal ones are a lot thinner, and the reason why I like them is because your mass is concentrated in a very small radius. That's the reason why, or diameter. Versus the plastic ones, they're hollow inside, the mass is on the outside. So that's another plus for this one. And if you're buying the drag slash and then upgrading to metal ones, well, that just made it even more expensive. So for somebody that's getting into the hobby, this is going to be your better choice, less expensive. Now, for somebody that wants the latest and the greatest and just spend a bunch of money, I'm not sure why you would buy a DR10 or a drag slash, to be honest, instead of just buying something and building it from the ground and then just picking and choosing your individual components. You should probably be looking into that instead of buying an RTR and then fixing it up. It would probably be better to just buy the components that you want, plan everything ahead of time, and then go that route, you know, like those fancy carbon fiber chassis. But again, if you're just getting into it, this one already gives you those metal shafts, which are very strong. It gives you the aluminum shock towers. Now, wheelie bars, they both have really nice wheelie bar. If you're building one based on a slash that you had, Proline makes the one with the one wheel. I would steer you away from that one, and I may do a review later on as to why. I mean, if you have just a basic system, you know, not too much power, it'll do fine. But if you have something a little faster, you may want to stay away from that one. But anyway, the wheelie bar here is pretty nice. It does have an adjustment. One of the nice things is this is actually a pretty robust adjustment, and this is pretty strong. So that's something very nice. Now, something else, Gearbox. That one I'm going to give, so the drag slash, one of the huge advantages are that if you just remove the 6 screws at the bottom and then the shock tower, so 2 screws from the shock tower, you can pop this off, and then there's just 4 little screws at the bottom of the transmission. Those 4 little screws will just drop the differential out, and then you can tune the differential. Versus this, you have to open up the entire gearbox, which is somewhat of a pain. In comparison, not a big deal. Now, let's just say once it's fully tuned, well, then whatever, who cares, right? So that is an advantage to the drag slash. The drag slash on that 272R transmission, all the internal gears are metal gears. This one, they are not. So your differential gear is plastic, they're plastic teeth, but they are pretty wide. They're at least 1 centimeter in width, I believe. So there's a lot of meat despite that. Your idler gear is plastic, but the lay shaft on top extends the entire distance of that idler gear, which is pretty nice. The electronics, I'm not really comparing the electronics in this video. Maybe I'll do it in a future video just out of curiosity. I'll probably use the same exact car and then just swap the electronics and see how they perform, just for fun. But those are some of the main things here. So, the drag slash. you can take the rear suspension from suspension, get a Bandit chassis and turn it into a buggy. Your buggy is not going to be a very good buggy because the Bandit is not the best buggy in the world. It's, I guess, good for messing around in price point. It's fine. This one here, if you get the buggy chassis, you can turn it into a buggy. That's actually pretty good. The RTR buggy based on this platform is actually pretty good. Now you can also, something that's pretty cool about this platform here too is if you actually get the slash offset wheels, so the 4-wheel drive slash offset wheels, you have a 2-wheel drive short course right here because the arms are shorter than the regular Pro 2, right? And that's one of the differences. So drag cars tend to be narrower than short course trucks, but the chassis is the same. So just get that offset for the slash, or there would be the 4-wheel drive or slash rears, put them on because it's a greater offset. There's a big offset difference between the Pro 2 wheels, the associated wheels, and the slash wheels. So just put those on and then you have a short course. It's probably not going to handle as good as, you know, having the longer arms and everything, but that's all you need. And then just get a body, get rid of the wheelie bar, right? Take the 2 screws out and you're good. You're going to have to work with this guy, right? Get the taller post. Actually, I think it came with taller post. I'd have to look for it. You can mess around with it, right? It already comes with somewhat of a truck bumper on there. You're not going to have a rear. You can always get a rear bumper. So between the two, if we ignore the electronics, just for now, because they're fine for an RTR. They're not the best, but they're fine for RTR. If we ignore the electronics, I would go with the DR10. And the reasons why I would go with the DR10 are the following. You get the better suspension, so the better arms, better shocks, more droop control here. It's a lot easier. You don't have to really mess around with it as much as the other one. The other one, you physically have to change things, right? Cut material off, etc. You have the better shafts in the rear, right in here, this whole thing. These rear hub carriers are more robust on the slash. They're not as strong, and this can potentially be a weak point if you flip over. Yes, drag cars aren't meant to be flipped over, but sometimes it happens. I just watched some videos and you'll see. Yes, the transmission is somewhat of a downer in comparison because of how accessible the other one is, but the differential is not something that you're going to be tuning every run or every 5 minutes. You're going to spend a few runs, you're going to tune it. Once it's tuned, you'll have an idea on what you need. Suspension, you're probably going to be doing more adjustments to that, and you already have better suspension. Keep in mind that we're also looking at price point. $330 as of this video, on sale for $300 on some online places and some hobby shops, versus $500. Maybe you'll find it on sale for $400. I have no idea. Just, you know, check for things. So just off the bat, you're getting a better vehicle for the price, right? For $300. That's the reason why. If you're looking for just something that you can upgrade to no end, don't bother with an RTR. Don't bother upgrading actually at all. Plan everything out and just build a car from scratch. That's my recommendation. So if you're getting into the hobby, or you're getting into a drag car and you're debating between the DR10 and the slash drag options, DR10 is probably one that you should consider. Weight, shafts, rear carriers, front suspension setup, actually even the rear gull wings. That's the reason why. Yes, the transmission off the drag slash is actually pretty nice. I do have that. Right now I'm running it on my short course. But I don't really think the transmission is a deal breaker. Versus everything else, you're getting much more for your money. So again, DR10 would be my pick. Thank you very much for watching. Please comment below. What are your opinions? What are your options? I've had the drag version 2, the slash version 2. What are your comparisons? What do you think between the two of them? And maybe in the future I'll do one with the low C. I'm not sure right now, but it's something to consider. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe if you have not. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.
What? Oh, my hair! My tongue! My rod!